Once again, thank you, everyone. So my name is Elvis Lovett, and I am the CEO and founder of LionTech Solutions Canada. And yeah, we are based in Canada, and we provide consulting services in tech, and that includes training and coaching and motivation. And what I do for my community in terms of the knowledge that we give out, not just to those who are in Canada and the USA, to Africans as a whole, um, is based on what I have seen and how this career has transformed, my life. To be honest with you, uh, tech has given me tech has given me a new perspective about work-life balance, right? Now, I believe that you can you can earn good money, working a good job, and still take care of your family in terms of not just providing what is necessary for your children or for your wife or for your spouse, right? But being there as a father. And specifically in North America, we have this is a major problem for most of us men here in North America because everything uh, is taking away our time, right? You may have a very good job, but that job will come at the expense, you know, of your family, and that would end up in most cases, being problems for you and all of that. So this has taught me a lesson, and I moved to Canada in 2014. Studied business administration at Seneca College. And when I got done, just like many of you, it was difficult to have a job in my field. And so sometime in 2019, I was able to get into tech. And I get into tech just like many of you today. I hear in this call to learn and to ask questions, how is this thing possible? Or like like the apostles asked Jesus Christ, how would these things be? Right? And all of that. But one thing I can tell you is that the skills you will learn, skills that are very practical. And you will come to discover that these are things that you have already you know, um, been practicing in in different sectors, right? And yeah, but now you are about to transition to start using those skills, in a different sector, in a different way. What are these skills I'm talking about? So you look at skills like collaboration, because a program like DevOps, based on my experience, that was my very first job, right? As a DevOps engineer with Postmedia. Postmedia is a company here in Toronto. My very first job, I was so amazed. It came in at 125, and my previous job before that was a security guard. So I was doing what happened? Yeah, so I was doing security, and then security from security. I was also doing these Amazon deliveries. I was doing that. I was also doing home. Is it home care? DSW. Yeah, like that. So I was everywhere, but I had skills. I had knowledge. I knew the kind of person that I was. So, you know, these are all the things that I have done. And, then I got into this program. And when I was in the meeting like this, and they would say, oh, in 6 months you will start approaching this kind of job. I was like, how is it even possible? Right. But I gave it a try because there comes a time in a man's life when you want a change, right? And anything good is worth giving it a try, especially when, you know, uh, it's knowledge acquisition. Because the more you know, the more opportunities that it opens up for you, right? So this is how I got into tech. And I got in and, got my first job at Post Media, $125,000 a year, senior DevOps engineer. What? So by the way, Post Media is a media company here in Toronto, and what I do is also, like if you look at print media, right? Print media has moved from physical newspaper to what? To digital newspaper, isn't it? How many of you have noticed that? So you look at newspapers like Toronto Star, The Sun, what again, National Post, right? Almost all newspapers in Canada that has gone digital are what are managed in the back end by Post Media, right? So this will tell you that the things that we do, okay, as DevOps engineers, we are working on real-time solutions. So, publishing all of, like, if just imagine a story breaks out now, right? Let's say maybe, the prime minister has announced something. That news needs to go out within the next, let's say within the next 30 minutes, right? So as soon as the media guys have sent in the article, it needs to be published on all of his sites. Or because now what? Each time a news article is published, what happens? You know what? You have subscribers who have already subscribed, okay? Doing what? Reading the story. Sometimes subscribers new customers may just see the headline and then they want to read. Then they say, you know what? You have to subscribe. It's $2 per what? Per week, right? Some people it's no big deal, but if you have just 4 million customers, right? 4 million paying you $2 per week. How much is that per week? You see that? So this is how tech companies make money, and this is how they can afford to pay you 125,000.
Boiling water and salt. Me stand for a while, so that me move that cement for cabbage. Then what?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm going to mute everyone, right? So, of course, what? So, this is how these tech companies can afford to pay you $125,000 a year, what again, like $160,000 a year, $190,000 a year. Why? Because in a week, right, you are what? You are able to contribute, or the team is what? The team is contributing more than enough money for them. So this is what we do in the back end. So it's now, of course, what this is done through automation. And so this is what DevOps is all about, right? So a story comes in, but how does that story now get deployed to more than 100 different newspapers, right? At the same time, right? Is what it got to be through some kind of an automation happening in the back end. So this is what you're going to be trained to do. So what are the skills required for you to be able to do this job? First of all, you're working in a team. So working as a DevOps engineer is just like, a regular 9 to 5 job, but for the fact that you're working mostly in the back end, right? In the back end, what that means is that you guys are making decisions of what the end users are going to see. Now, if you're in Canada or the US, you bear with me that there are moments that you will log into your account and your bank will say, hey, you know what? Maybe the e-transfer feature is not available from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. Right now, what is happening? Like, what is happening behind the scene? They are doing some form of updates and all of that. So then, of course, as you enroll in this program, you're going to get to understand the different frameworks to applications, right? So we have what we call the microservices application, and of course, the monolithic approach to microservice application. So then, of course, what is it that you're going to be learning in this program? The first thing, what makes DevOps different from any other software development lifecycle methodology is automation, right? So one of the keys that you are going to be learning that is going to make you different and make you deployable is automation. What are you to let me quote a very simple example? Okay. Look at a company like Postmedia, that's where I worked, right? They had more than 2,000 computers that was hosting their application in the back end. That's 2,000, one company. I also work for IBM Canada, and we had more than 4,000 computers, right? Now, this is where cloud comes in. I'm explaining all of this because, I want you guys to see, right, to kind of imagine the context, right? Now you have 2,000 computers with Postmedia that you have to manage as a DevOps engineer, right? So we refer to that as infrastructure, right? That's infrastructure. Now there is no way on earth that you will be able to manage those 2,000 servers effectively using any kind of manual approach, right? You got to learn how to automate. What are you automating? Let me quote a very simple example. Assume that you work for the University of Toronto. University of Toronto has more than, 10,000 computers, right, that they use in their computer lab. And so let's say, for example, you have a task. They want you to either maybe, deploy WhatsApp, okay, on all the 14,000 computers, or they want you to upgrade from Windows 10 to Windows 11, right? Do you think it's practically possible to go logging into one computer, two computer, three computer until you reach 14,000 to install, or to upgrade from Windows 10 to Windows 11, right? Do you think that is possible? Just put a yes, a one, a no, right? In the chat. The honest truth is that that in itself is not possible. And so this is where you are. This is where you come in as a DevOps engineer. So what are the tools that you are going to be deploying in this environment, right? So of course, what you will use a tool like Ansible. That's why if you look at all DevOps job description, it's all about tools. Just like, if you look at an accounting job description, they say, well, They to have maybe, experience with this or experience with that, experience. Because what? Because accounting as a practice has what? Has its own tools. You can't say you're a good accountant when you cannot do, maybe simple bank reconciliation, right? No, is it bank reconciliation? I think it's account reconciliation, right? Or you cannot, you cannot analyze cash flow. So these are major concepts in accounting that you need to understand to function well as an accountant. So the same thing also happens in tech, right? Where every stage of the application development, you have what? You have tools that are required to be on your resume. And not just on your resume, but what? Being able to defend them. So they're going to ask you, like, what is your experience with automation? What is your experience with building automation pipelines? Right? So the DevOps program is what? It's all about the software development lifecycle. One, it looks at the team. Okay. Who are the team members? What are those involved in this? Right? How do they collaborate? Okay. And what is each team doing? And all of that. Okay. So you look at the stages of the software development lifecycle. And of course, what? It starts with planning. From planning, we get into development. When we develop, we have to what? We have to test. When we test, we have to archive. When we archive, we have to deploy. So every application that you see today that you have on your phone, including this Zoom application, Facebook, TikTok, okay, Instagram, they all what? These are all softwares. And of course, what? It follows what? It follows the software development lifecycle. Okay. So first of all, it starts with planning. Do like, for example, let's say, tomorrow, if you want to plan a wedding, you meet a wedding planner. And then of course, everything must happen in stages, right? To say, you know what, I want to get married 6 months from today. right? You're going to what? You're going to break down the plan. Okay, month one. We have 5 months. We must what? We must do this in month one. We must do this in month two. Month three, this must happen. Month four, this must happen. Month five, this must happen. Then what? Month six, this has to happen. And that's the end of the project, right? So the exact same concept in project management is service what is also applied in the software development life cycle. And talking about life cycle, I don't think it's a new term because what if you come from a management background, we know what we know about the business what the product life cycle, isn't it? And even the business life cycle. If you come from a science background, what you know about the what the is it the water life cycle, Abby, and all of that. So these are concepts that we have seen, we have heard about. Yeah, the animal. I don't know what it is called the animal life cycle. I think the insect life cycle, something like that, right? So what we have seen all of these happen in real time, right? And so this is why. So these are what these are skills that you need to have on your resume in 2026. One, infrastructure automation. I just spoke about the 2,000 computers, right? We cannot automate, we cannot create 2,000 computers in the cloud manually. So this is also where cloud computing also comes in because, well, it offers you this concept of what we call, scalability and availability, right? So let me quote a very simple example. So let's say we start, okay, yeah, we have what? So we are post media, okay? And as a date, we have 5 million subscribers. So of course, Edward, having 2,000 computers in the back end, okay, I'll come to you having what? Having 2,000 computers, running your services is justified. But what happened if all of a sudden, right, you move from 5 million subscribers to 10 million? Automatically what? You must what? You have to scale your infrastructure. So now, if you were hosting these 2,000 computers in a building, by the way, can you imagine the size of the building for 2,000 computers? Who can imagine, right? Like having a server room with 2,000 computers, right? That's a lot of work, right? Because what? One, you must hire security guards. As a matter of fact, we have some of our brothers in the UAE, right? Africans who are what who have left Africa, they are working in the UAE as well, as security guards in server rooms, right? A lot of them like that. So of course, what you must what provide security, lighting, heating, cooling, maintenance, right, and all of that. All of it must be provided. And so if you want now to add another 2,000 or another 500, you must what? You must also what? Increase the capacity of your storage. So on-prem computers, companies having their own servers and owning their own infrastructure, right, became what has become a problem, a very, very big problem. And so this is why all companies today are turning to the cloud. So let's go back to our assumption, right? So we want to add 500 more computers. It's no big deal. Just what? Go to your cloud provider and say, you know what? Hey, I need 500 more. It's like within seconds, you have what? You have 500 more. No big deal, right? And if in the next 2 weeks, right, everything stabilizes, you have lost business and all, what happens? You can what? Just scale down immediately, and that cost is gone. But when you go for what we call on-prem, so on-prem is like you have a room, okay, in your house, and what you buy and you stock computers there because maybe you are running maybe a website or an application, all of that, right? That's on-prem. So you would agree with me that the cost of whatever you have there is on you, right? If your computer is down, you have to fix it, right? So everything is on you. But if you have rented, okay, the computers from the cloud, from any cloud provider, and you are paying as you use, it's no big deal, right? So if tomorrow you want just one, you can what? You can easily scale down, and that cost is gone. If tomorrow you need 40, you scale up. So this is where cloud computing comes in. It offers scalability and high availability. And this is why you cannot study even cybersecurity today in 2025 without what? Without, studying cloud computing, because the infrastructure, the company's asset, right, has left on-prem, is now focused in the cloud. And so this is why whatever you are studying needs to be integrated. Because ask yourself this question: why do companies go to the cloud? It's what? It's because they have a business logic, right? They have a business, they have an application that is generating them what? Money. So the more you hear application, what happens? Of course, what? DevOps comes to mind, because applications are what? Are developed by developers. They are made available to their customers by DevOps. So how do we use the infrastructure, build up pipelines to deploy these applications to our end users? So this is where DevOps comes into the picture, and you see cloud computing is coming all over the place. Of course, when you move to the cloud, just like most of us here today, if you want to log into your Gmail, right? You have some kind of security that you have set up, like maybe biometrics, right? Or you have this, multi-factor authentication, right? Coming before what? Before you are able to access your own account. So, all of course, those are all cybersecurity principles, right? What we call IAM. Okay, identity and access management, being able to manage access to services. So you can see that security becomes inherent at every, step, right? So at every stage of the software development lifecycle of the application, hosting the application, maintaining the application, you must what? You must enforce security, right? So that's we're going to see that that's why the program we offer is highly integrated. And one thing I discovered last year is, at HP, one thing our bosses did was that, they subscribed everybody to Copilot. I don't know if you know Copilot. I don't know if you have heard about Copilot. Many of you, Copilot, right? Any other person? Okay. So Copilot is what? Is an AI, agent, right? Copilot is what? Copilot is an AI agent. It's just like ChatGPT, but for the fact that it is developed and maintained by by Microsoft, right? ChatGPT is owned by OpenAI, right? And then we have Google Gemini, right? Is owned by Google, and then AWS also have its own. So almost all companies today are what? Are developing their AI agents, right? Big companies are leading in that. Uh, I think Facebook has its own. Okay, it's called Meta, and even that also has been deployed on some WhatsApp versions, because I think the AI deployment on WhatsApp is not yet available to everybody. Okay, not even to every account. So what is still being selectively deployed at the moment. So Now, what happened was that, of course, they subscribe everybody to that. So what that means is that, so let's say what I have a task. I'm asked to, write a code, right? I want to write a code, maybe a Terraform code to create a server. Now it becomes so easy. I just give him put in the parameters on Copilot, and within seconds you have you have an idea on on how your code is going to look like. Now, what is the difference here? Because most people have advanced this ignorant argument that AI is going to take away our job. No, okay? AI can never and will never take away our jobs, right? AI has only come to make us more productive, okay, more efficient, okay? Think more and work less, right? Because every input you give to that agent, right, it comes from your brain. So let's say I have a task to create a server and I have no idea even how to go about it. Of course, I'm just going to go dump some kind of rubbish in, and of course, AI will give me what I'm looking out for. I mean, if you have had experience with searching libraries, let's say you're doing a research and you have access to a library, right? If you don't know the criteria to get the best out of that library, what happens? You will come up with the most irrelevant report. Why? Because what? Because you do not know how to search. So let's say, for example, you are given access to the government library and you want to find out, let's say, specific report about certain issue. Okay, let's say you want to look at the unemployment rate, okay, in Canada. That's the research that you are being asked to, maybe over 10 years period. Now, in your own thinking, do you think that the employment rate for you're going to be looking at the data between 1980 and 1990 to 2014 to 2024? So if you go in there and you're not able to input the criteria to come up with the right data, what happens? Of course, you are going to get data, but that data is going to become It's going to become super irrelevant. Why? Because it's not timely. It's not even contextual. That's why you see everything you get from ChatGPT, it wants you that, hey, you know what? I am an AI agent, and of course I make mistakes. Before ChatGPT came, we all used to Google, isn't it? We used to Google. Google used to be our friend. And for us working in tech, we had we used to have a specific type of Google. It used to be called Stack Overflow. How many of you know about Stack Overflow? Right? Stack what? So of course we had Stack Overflow, right? So we will go to Stack Overflow, and of course we are going to ask technical questions in order to get answers, right? So ChatGPT or AI is just taking us now to a deeper database, right? Where you can ask anything and get up to 80% accuracy response. So ChatGPT is not going to display for you adverts, okay, like what you see on the search engines on Microsoft, be it, okay, and Google. No, you ask a question, and of course, you get your answer. This is the difference. That is why you must learn how to integrate AI in anything you want to study in 2025, 2026, moving forward. Right? You must look at that. Uh, if you downloaded VS Code, for example, right? Visual Studio Code this year, sometime around March, April, there's one thing you should have realized, right? Copilot is bumped into VS Code already. So just within VS Code, you can ask any question to Copilot and you get the answer. Now, if you were working, right? if you're working on your company's code base, right? Code Pilot can immediately pick out issues, pick out errors for you, right? Like that. Bang, can, can. So the study of tech in 2025, okay, 2026 upward has been made extremely simplified. But of course, you must what? You need to be guided. Because see, if I keep you, if Tinubu was to grant you audience today and they say, hey, ask me anything, right? If you have not been thinking about what to ask him, you're going to be dumbfounded, right? But somebody who has been planning will be like, wow, now I got my opportunity, right? You're going to what? You're going to ask all the questions in the right way, the right language, the right patterns, right? Open-ended questions. Because AI is very good when you ask what? When you ask it open-ended questions. When you want it to analyze, compare and contrast, looked into, like when we say, hey, what is Nigeria? Or what is the capital of this? What not? That's that. It will not go anywhere. If you want it to go, you want to what? You want to compare and contrast. You want to, a lot of things you want to do with AI, right? So of course, what AI becomes super, super integrated, okay, in the study of DevOps, cybersecurity, and artificial intelligence. So the good news